My name is Edmundo. I'm 76 years old, and lately I've been forgetting simple things' names, where I put my glasses, even verses I used to know by heart. At first, I laughed it off. But then I saw a fear in my wife's eyes when I forgot the prayer we said every night before bed. That's when it hit me. Losing memory isn't just about misplacing objects, it's about slowly losing pieces of yourself. I prayed, asking God, will I still recognize the people I love? Will I still carry your word in my heart if my mind fades? And in that quiet, I felt a whisper. There is still something I can do. There are seeds, natural and spiritual, that He placed in creation to help us protect what remains. In this video, I'll share 5 powerful, yet simple reflections about a miracle seed that boosts memory after 65, along with biblical wisdom and medical insights that gave me new hope. If you're feeling like your mind is slipping away, stay with me. There's still much to remember, and God is not done with you. It's strange how something so small can hold so much power. We often think of memory loss as this unstoppable wave that comes with age, and while some forgetfulness is natural, I've learned that not all decline is inevitable. Sometimes the smallest changes, one seed, one prayer, one new habit, can open a door to clarity again. Linda, 72, is a retired schoolteacher from Ohio. She always had a sharp mind and a sharper wit. But a year ago, she started to notice her mind wandering mid-sentence. Her Bible group friends would finish her thoughts for her, and it stung more than she let on. One afternoon, over a cup of tea, her granddaughter mentioned something she read online, a small seed that ancient cultures used for focus and brain strength. Linda was skeptical, but curious. She added chia seeds to her breakfast. Not a miracle overnight, no lightning bolt from the heavens. But day by day, she began to feel different. Her energy lifted. Her words returned quicker. She said it was like a fog lifting gently in the morning, not all at once, but steadily. Her mind wasn't perfect, but it was awake again. Science agrees with what Linda experienced. Chia seeds are tiny nutritional powerhouses. Rich in omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and fiber, they help reduce inflammation in the brain and support neuron function, especially important as we age. Omega-3s, in particular, are linked to improved memory and mental clarity, and they're something the body can't produce on its own. You need to bring them in, like manna gathered with care. In Psalm 103:5, the Word says, He fills your life with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. Sometimes we forget that good things includes not only blessings of the soul, but also blessings of the earth. Seeds, fruits, herbs, God placed healing in the fabric of creation. We just need to slow down enough to notice. Linda told me something I'll never forget. She said, I don't expect to be the woman I was at 40, but I want to be present now with my memories, my prayers, and the people I love. And if a seed can help me do that, then why not thank God and take the gift? Maybe that's what we all need. Not the promise of perfect recall, but the grace to remember what matters most. So before you brush off forgetfulness as your new normal, ask yourself, have you given your brain the nourishment it needs, both spiritually and physically? God's answers are sometimes wrapped in simplicity. Let's move deeper, because the next reflection will show how something even more powerful than nutrition begins with silence and the way we start our mornings. James, 78, used to be a mechanic in a small town in North Carolina. He was known for fixing just about anything. But what no one could fix was what started happening to him each morning. He'd wake up confused, struggling to recall what day it was. His wife, Martha, began writing reminders on sticky notes and placing them around the house. Take your meds. Call Mike. Read the Bible. It broke her heart the day he forgot their wedding anniversary. But one morning, something changed. Not dramatically, not all at once. It started when his doctor gently suggested that James try a simple morning routine. A glass of water with chia seeds soaked overnight, followed by a walk in the sunlight and 10 minutes of quiet prayer. It comes in repetition, but with faith and how she used one simple verse to hold on to who she was, in daily trust. She kept calling her neighbor by the wrong name. She chose one verse. Her granddaughter, a nurse, helped her add ground chia seeds into her yogurt and oatmeal. It was an easy change, something she could still do with her hands. And with it came other shifts. A steadier mood, fewer restless nights. I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Margaret had done just that. And really, what greater memory is there than that? Even when her mind forgot, her heart remembered. She had built a reservoir of truth over a lifetime, and now it was watering her soul. A glimmer of brightness behind her eyes when her pastor came to visit. Just one. We forget the most important part, that our identity is not stored only in our minds. It is held in the hands of the one who made us, and he forgets nothing. Not your name, not your prayers, not your worth. Every day she repeated it aloud like a song, but by walking slower, even when the rest of the world grew blurry. That verse was Isaiah 46:4. Even to your old age and gray hairs I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. She forgot that the oven was on. When she couldn't recall what she had for lunch, she could still recall the promise, I will carry you. When her son found her sitting quietly in her chair, eyes closed, lips moving, he knew she wasn't lost. She was holding on. Then one day, she looked at her Bible and asked softly, have I read this one before? Her son, Thomas, didn't know what to say. The woman who had led Bible studies for decades, who could quote the Psalms by heart, now stared at the pages like they were written in another language, in tiny seeds and whispered prayers. James didn't expect much, but he gave it a try. The first few days were ordinary, but by the second week, he noticed that the fog didn't sit as heavy on his chest when he woke up. In the morning, I lay my requests before you and wait expectantly. Studies show that diets high in plant-based omega-3 South and antioxidants found abundantly in chia seeds help slow cognitive decline. They provide the brain with the nutrients it needs to keep functioning and fighting. But Margaret's strength didn't come only from food. It came from faith planted deep, not just as a habit, but as a symbol of something greater, that even in aging, even in forgetting, he is still being restored. I may forget a name, he told me once, but I remember the peace of those early prayers. And that peace clears more than my mind. It clears my soul. There's something sacred about those first moments of the day. They shape everything that follows. When the body is nourished and the spirit is centered, the mind remembers more than just names or lists. It remembers who you are, whose you are. His thoughts came a bit faster. And more than anything, the silence in those early minutes with God calmed his anxious mind. What was happening? It turns out that memory is deeply tied to rhythm, especially morning rhythm. The brain thrives on consistency. And chia seeds, when soaked and consumed in the morning, release sustained energy throughout the day thanks to their soluble fiber and protein content. This avoids the sudden spikes and crashes that can cloud mental clarity. Combined with gentle movement and focused breathing, this trifecta helps reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that is directly linked to memory impairment. But the true miracle wasn't just in the seed or the science. It was in the stillness. Psalm 5:3 says, "In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice." James now keeps a small jar of soaked chia by his bedside. Sometimes, the healing doesn't come in fireworks. In the next reflection, we'll meet someone who faced memory loss not with fear. Margaret was 81, when her son noticed something was off. But Margaret did something remarkable. She whispered it while folding laundry, watering plants, stirring soup. And slowly, that verse became her anchor. Margaret also made a small change to her diet. While memory loss cannot always be reversed, in Psalm 119:11 it says, "When Thomas told me about his mother, he said, 'She forgot many things, but not God, not his voice, not his promises.'" Sometimes, in the fear of losing our memory, in our next reflection, we will look at the connection between movement and memory, and how one older man found healing not by thinking harder. Harold, 75, used to be an accountant. Numbers were his world. He remembered client birthdays, tax codes, deadlines. But after retiring, something shifted. He spent more time sitting, watching TV, staring out the window. He began to forget why he had walked into rooms. No phone, no music, just the sound of his shoes on the pavement and birdsong overhead. And in that still rhythm, his mind began to move again. Memories returned like soft echoes. His wife's laugh, his father's toolbox, a hymn he hadn't sung in decades. He called his nephew by his brother's name. "I used to walk with a purpose to get somewhere. Now I walk with the Lord, and he brings me back to myself." In moving through your neighborhood like it's holy ground, where every step is a chance to remember who you are and who walks beside you. Once he stood in the kitchen holding his keys, unsure if he was leaving or coming back. His daughter grew concerned, and how one small change helped her find herself again. She took him to a neurologist, who gently explained that the brain slows when the body slows. Movement fuels memory. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients that help neurons stay active and connected. The doctor mentioned something simple: start walking, even if just a little each day. At first, Harold resisted. He smiled more. He remembered names again. His doctor said the improvements were small on paper, but enormous in spirit. Harold said it was like someone had turned a light back on inside him. His legs ached. He was embarrassed by how slow he had become. Chia in the morning, a short prayer, then a slow walk. Some days he spoke scripture aloud as he walked. His favorite was Proverbs 4:26. "Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways." Studies show that combining omega-rich foods, like chia seeds, with even mild physical activity can protect the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. Movement, even slow and steady, activates brain cells and clears mental fog. But one morning, after adding a spoonful of soaked chia seeds into his smoothie, he took a step outside, then another, then 10 more. He walked quietly down the block. Soon, Harold made it a habit. His neighbors began to notice. The science was on his side. But it wasn't just the biology that mattered. It was the spiritual rhythm Harold rediscovered. He told his pastor one Sunday, "There is a wisdom in slowing down, in letting the body wake up with the earth." Next, we will look at one final reflection, a story of someone who once believed it was too late to change, too late to heal. Elaine was 87 when she first heard about chia seeds. At that age, she didn't care much for new trends. She often joked, "I've lived through wars, black and white television." When Ava handed her a card with Psalm 92:14 written on it, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." Elaine read it once, then again. She whispered, "Maybe I'm not done yet." And raising 4 boys. "I thought this chapter was the end, but maybe God was just turning the page." It's identity. And when we nourish both the body and the spirit, when we root ourselves in faith and take even the smallest steps toward health, something holy begins to grow. I don't need a trendy seed to fix me. But what she didn't say out loud was that she had begun to feel lost. It comes in the quiet turning of a spoon in a cup, in the whisper of a verse held close to the heart, in a single seed resting in the palm of your hand. She laughed more. But the love of God never does. When our minds grow tired, His Spirit remains awake within us. When names slip through our fingers like sand, He calls us by name and never forgets. I'd love to invite you to share with us. Even when the leaves grow brittle, the sun still rises for those who wait. And even in old age, something deep within us still blossoms, still remembers, still sings. If this message touched you, let every small act, every spoonful, every morning walk, every remembered verse be a prayer. In another reflection, under the light of His wisdom. Until then, walk gently, eat wisely, and remember this truth. Please type the word memory in the comments below and remind you each day that you are still bearing fruit, still being carried, still deeply known. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who might need a word of hope, and help us spread light to others walking this path. She told stories they had never heard before. Her doctor was cautious, but impressed. Elaine said she didn't expect a cure. She just wanted to feel like herself again, even in small ways. And she did. Her memory was slipping more each week, and it made her anxious, though she tried to hide it with humor. She believed she still had fruit to bear, wisdom to share, a soul still green and fresh in the hands of her Creator. One afternoon, her great-granddaughter Ava came to visit. They sat in the kitchen, sipping tea, and Ava brought her a small jar of pudding made from chia seeds, almond milk, and a touch of cinnamon. Every morning, she read it aloud. Every evening, she added a spoonful of chia to her dinner or dessert. She began journaling small things she remembered from her youth, her mother's perfume, the blue ribbons she won at the county fair, the song her husband sang the day they married. Elaine wrinkled her nose, but took a bite, then another. She smiled. The antioxidants in chia seeds help protect brain cells from oxidative stress, a major contributor to age-related cognitive decline. When combined with mental engagement, such as storytelling or writing, it creates a nourishing environment for memory to stabilize and, in some cases, even improve. Well, that's not so bad. But the moment that changed everything came later. That night, she placed the card beside her bed. Something started to shift. Her family noticed she was more alert during conversations. Medical research supports what she experienced. But beyond the nutrients and routines, what truly changed in Elaine was her belief. She told her pastor one Sunday, and maybe that's the heart of it all. Memory is more than information. Now that we've explored these 5 reflections, sometimes the most powerful healing does not arrive with noise or spectacle. It comes like morning light through an old curtain, soft and steady. Our memories may fade. The wind still knows how to touch the trees. Let your days be filled with what nourishes your body and lifts your soul. May the Lord sustain your memory. Guard your peace. We will meet again soon. You are never forgotten.